Dear learners, welcome to this online course on electricity and electrical wiring. So this is the second lecture of module 10 on safety requirement. In this lecture, we are going to talk about Indian electricity rules and regulations. Today, we will focus on key legislations like the Electricity Act of 2003 and the regulatory frameworks set by the Central Electricity Authority, the Bureau of Indian Standards, the National Electrical Code, and the National Building Code. So by the end of the session, you will be able to understand the Indian Electricity Act of 2003, its purpose, and its impact on the power sector. You will be able to explain the role of Central Electricity Authority in setting technical and operational standards. You will be able to recognize the importance of Bureau of Indian Standards in ensuring electrical product safety and reliability. You will be able to interpret key provisions of the National Electrical Code for safe and efficient electrical installations. You will be able to analyze the National Building Code guidelines for electrical safety in buildings. So with these objectives in mind, let's move ahead. So dear learners, we all know that electricity is a fundamental part of our lives. It powers our homes, industries, and essential infrastructure. However, without proper rules and regulations, electricity can be hazardous and inefficient. That's why clear guidelines are in place to ensure safety, efficiency, and reliability in electrical systems. These regulations help prevent accidents, they ensure fair pricing for consumers, and define the responsibilities of power producers and distributors. To achieve these objectives, various laws, regulations, and standards guide the use and management of electricity. These rules are set by government and non-government agencies at the local, state, national, and even international levels. In India, several key governing and regulatory bodies oversee the power sector. These include the Ministry of Power. So it is the apex body responsible for formulating policies and laws that shape the electricity sector. Next is the Central Electricity Authority. It sets technical standards and safety regulations to ensure a reliable power system. Then we have the Central Electricity Regulatory Commission. It regulates tariffs for electricity generation and interstate transmission. Then we have the State Electricity Regulatory Commissions. So they regulate electricity tariffs at the state level. So together these bodies play a crucial role in ensuring that electricity remains accessible, affordable, and safe for all users. Now, let's take a closer look at the key laws, regulations, and safety standards that govern India's electricity sector. Let's begin with one of the most important legal frameworks that restructured India's power sector, the Electricity Act of 2003. So by going through this important act, you will have a better understanding of the legal foundation that supports all electrical work in India. As future electrical professionals, this knowledge will ensure your wiring practices comply with legal standards. You will understand the roles of consumers, utilities, and contractors. You will recognize the importance of safety and quality and navigate real-world scenarios confidently from both technical and legal perspectives. There have been two amendments to this Act, the Amendment Act of 2003 and the Amendment Act of 2007. Now, let's take a brief look at the various parts of the Act and how they impact the power sector. Under the Electricity Act of 2003, the central government introduced the National Electricity Policy and Plan to guide the power sector. This policy focuses on key objectives like universal electricity access for all, affordable power for all, grid stability and modernization, promotion of renewable energy, and encouraging investment for creating opportunities for private and public investments. As per the Electricity Act of 2003, electricity generation has been significantly reformed. The Act promotes freedom in power generation while ensuring safety and reliability. No license is required for power generation. The only exception is hydropower projects. Captive power generation is allowed, so industries can generate electricity for their own use. The government can intervene in emergencies, so this helps maintain grid stability. So in the private sector investment is encouraged. More investments means higher power availability. All power plants must follow regulations, environmental and safety standards must be met. So these reforms have transformed India's power sector, making electricity more accessible and more competitive. Let's take a look at how the Electricity Act of 2003 regulates the transmission of electricity. Unlike generation, transmission and distribution require regulation to maintain the system integrity. Here's what's mandated. Licensing is required for transmission of electricity, both interstate and intrastate. Distribution and retail supply, electricity trading, open access is granted to bulk consumers so they can choose their electricity suppliers instead of being tied to a single provider. Multiple distribution licenses can operate in the same area. This promotes competition and better service. All licenses must follow regulations. You see, transmission is a vital part of the power system. It ensures electricity moves efficiently from generating plants to distribution networks. So under the Electricity Act of 2003, certain key provisions govern transmission. Licensing required to operate transmission. Entities must obtain a license. This ensures that all authorized operators manage transmission networks, maintaining efficiency and reliability. Structured grid operations. The Act establishes a well-defined hierarchy of grid management. The National Load Dispatch Center, NLDC, oversees grid stability across the country. RLDC, or the Regional Load Dispatch Centers, coordinate power flow between different states. State Load Dispatch Centers, or SLDCs, they manage intra-state transmission and ensure smooth operations at the state level. Open access provision. So one of the key reforms of the Act is open access. This allows generating companies and large consumers to use transmission networks fairly. This encourages competition and improves efficiency in the electricity sector. Electricity distribution is what connects power to our homes, businesses, and industries. But how does the Electricity Act of 2003 shape this process? Let's break it down. Consumer choice. Large consumers now have the freedom to choose their power suppliers through open access, thus increasing competition and efficiency. Fair pricing. State regulators approve and control tariffs, making sure electricity prices remain fair and reasonable for everyone. Private participation. The Act encourages private companies to invest in electricity distribution, leading to better services and innovation. Consumer rights. A proper grievance redressal system is in place to handle complaints, ensuring consumers get the service they deserve. Reliable supply. Distribution companies have clear service obligations, meaning they must ensure an uninterrupted and efficient power supply. Tariff regulations. So electricity pricing needs to be fair and sustainable. Here's how the Act regulates it. Tariffs must be affordable, cost reflective and competitive. The state electricity regulatory commissions are responsible for setting and regulating the tariffs. This Act encourages gradual reduction of cross subsidies to promote competition. Time of day pricing and smart metering mechanisms are introduced. Provisions for tariff revision and government subsidy allocations ensure affordability. Infrastructure development plays a vital role in reliable electricity supply. This Act defines rights for power companies to develop transmission and distribution networks. It ensures compensation for landowners affected by power projects. It mandates upgrading of networks to improve efficiency. It also encourages smart grid and automation technologies to modernize the system. You see, the Electricity Act of 2003 serves as the foundation for the regulation and development of India's power sector. It defines the roles and responsibilities of key regulatory bodies, ensuring a structured and efficient system. Here's how the Act plays a role in oversight and regulation. Establishment of regulatory bodies. The Act created and empowered bodies like the Central Electricity Regulatory Commission, the State Electricity Regulatory Commissions, and Appellate Tribunal for Electricity, giving them authority over electricity generation, transmission, distribution, and trading. Grid management and system reliability. The Act mandates clear roles for grid operators and load dispatch centers to ensure efficient power flow and prevent blackouts. Tariff regulation. It provides guidelines for fair tariff setting, requiring the Central Electricity Regulatory Commissions and the State Electricity Regulatory Commissions to regulate pricing, prevent overcharging, and gradually reduce the cross subsidies. Dispute resolution. The Act establishes Appellate Tribunal for Electricity as a dedicated tribunal to handle all disputes between power producers, consumers, and regulators, thus ensuring a fair legal framework. Promoting competition and open access. The Act introduced open access in transmission and distribution, thus allowing large consumers to choose their electricity suppliers, leading to competition and better service. Consumer protection is a major focus of the Electricity Act of 2003. It ensures fair practices and strict penalties for violations. Strict penalties are imposed for electricity theft and unauthorized uses, meter tampering and billing fraud, non-compliance with operational and safety standards. Electricity Ombudsman is established to resolve consumer disputes efficiently. Consumer rights are protected, ensuring quality power supply, fair billing, and grievance redressal mechanisms. The Act strongly supports the growth of renewable energy and rural electrification. It mandates renewable purchase obligations for states. It encourages investment in solar, wind, and hydro projects. It supports off-grid and rural electrification programs. It also promotes net metering and decentralized renewable generation. It introduces subsidies and incentives for clean energy. Dear learners, after discussing the various parts of Electricity Act of 2003, now let us go through a small quiz. Let's now talk about one of the most important technical and advisory bodies in India, the Central Electricity Authority. It is a statutory body under the Ministry of Power. It was established under the Electricity Supply Act of 1948 and continued under the Electricity Act of 2003. Learners, the CEA regulations are essential for safe, reliable and compliant electrical installations. Following them ensures your work meets technical and legal standards in the real world projects. Let us now go through some of the important CEA regulations. Accurate metering is essential for billing transparency, energy accounting and fraud prevention. The CEA has established comprehensive regulations for metering across all sectors. Key provisions include mandatory installation of smart meters to enhance energy tracking and efficiency, standards for accuracy and reliability to ensure precise electricity measurement, net metering guidelines for consumers generating solar or other renewable energy, data collection and monitoring requirements to improve accountability and grid management. So these regulations align with Bureau of Indian Standards and International Electrotechnical Commission norms, ensuring reliability and transparency in India's power sector. However, their implementation is managed by state electricity regulatory commissions and the distribution companies. The CEA has defined construction standards for power plants, substations and transmission lines. These include design specifications for high voltage transmission lines, safety protocols for electrical substations and switchyards, material quality standards for electrical components, environmental and structural safety compliance measures. The CEA also regulates the business transactions of power sector. This includes approval procedures for power purchase agreements, rules for trading electricity in open markets, compliance requirement for electricity suppliers and generators, procedures for dispute resolution in energy contracts. The CEA mandates regular reporting and data collection to monitor the health of the power sector. These regulations ensure timely submission of operational and financial data by power companies, performance tracking of generation, transmission and distribution, forecasting and planning based on power demand and consumption trends, publication of national energy statistics for policy making. The CEA sets clear regulations to minimize risk in power generation, transmission and distribution. Some key safety measures include regulations for electrical equipment and installations to prevent hazards, guideline for power plant operations and maintenance, inspection and compliance mandates for power companies, standardized earthing and insulation requirements for all installations. So the CEA has also established grid standards that all entities must follow. These include voltage and frequency stability requirements, operational standards for national, regional and state grids, guidelines for handling grid disturbances and blackouts, technical criteria for maintaining grid security and resilience. The CEA has formulated grid connectivity standards, so these ensure smooth integration of renewable energy sources like the solar and the wind. Requirement for synchronizing new power plants with the grid, technical specifications for the interconnection of substations, monitoring systems to track power flow and network efficiency. Efficient communication is crucial for grid management and power system operations. The CEA has developed communication regulations to enhance real-time monitoring and coordinations. These include protocols for power system communication networks, real-time data sharing standards between grid operators, cyber security guidelines to protect critical power infrastructure, mandatory supervisory control and data acquisition, integration for automated grid management. Now, let's talk about the Bureau of Indian Standards or BIS. BIS is the National Standards Body of India, established under the BIS Act of 1986. It plays a crucial role in electrical wiring. As an electrical professional, you will rely on BIS certified materials such as wires, cables, switches, and circuit breakers to ensure that your work is safe and reliable. The BIS publishes key standards and codes which serve as practical guides for carrying out the electrical work. So knowing these BIS standards helps you to choose the right materials followed by approved installation methods and maintain compliance with legal and safety requirements. One of the most important functions of BIS is certification. If a product carries the BIS certification mark, it means that it has met strict quality and safety standards and is safe to use. Now that we have understand the role of BIS, let's discuss how BIS certification works. BIS follows a structured certification process to ensure that electrical products meet safety and quality standards before they reach the consumers. The certification process involves product testing. So electrical products undergo rigorous safety and performance tests in BIS recognized laboratories. Then we have the factory inspection, where BIS officials inspect manufacturing facilities to ensure compliance with safety norms. Then license granting. So if a product meets all requirements, the BIS grants the ISI or Indian Standards Institute certification mark, which indicates quality approval. Then there is market surveillance. So here the BIS conducts regular inspection and surprise checks to ensure that the certified products continue to meet safety standards. BIS certification is mandatory for several electrical products including switches, sockets, cables and household appliances to ensure user safety and reliability. So electrical installations must comply with BIS standards to prevent hazard and ensure efficiency. Some of the key BIS safety standards for installations include the IS 732 code. So when it comes to electrical installation, this IS 732 is one of the most important standards. It covers the design, selection, installation, protection and maintenance of electrical wiring systems. Then we have the IS code 3043, which provides guidelines for proper earthing and grounding of electrical systems to prevent shock and surges. Then we have the IS code 5216, which provides safety procedures for working with electrical equipment, thus ensuring worker and technician safety. Next is the IS code 1646, which provides fire safety in buildings concerning electrical installations, preventing electrical fires in homes and industries. Following these standards ensure proper installation, minimizes electrical risk and enhances energy efficiency. Apart from electrical installations, BIS also sets safety and performance standards for the electrical appliances to ensure that consumer is safe. Some important standards include IS 302 Part 1, which is related to general safety for household electrical appliances, aligning with international IEC standards. Then we have the IS 12640 code, which provides standards for residual circuit breakers, providing protection against electrical shocks. Then we have the IS code 15885, which provides performance and safety guidelines for LED lights and lamps. Then we have the IS code 18590 and IS code 18606, which provides new safety standards for electric vehicles, their powertrain and components. So these standards ensure that electrical appliances are safe for use, energy efficient and long lasting. Okay, so you have seen that we have various IS codes covering specific electrical products, materials and safety measures, like the IS code 732 for wiring, the IS code 3043 for earthing. However, these codes don't provide a step-by-step guide for carrying out electrical installations. Also, since IS codes apply to different parts of electrical works, this can sometimes lead to confusion or inconsistency in the installation. That's why there is a need for a comprehensive and structured framework that integrates these standards and ensure uniformity in the electrical design and execution. This is where the National Electrical Code of India, or the NEC, comes in. NEC serves as a practical guide compiling and organizing the various IS standards into a systematic and user-friendly format. It provides clear instructions on safe installation practices, wiring methods, circuit design, and protection measures. By following the NEC, professionals can achieve standardized, efficient, and code-compliant electrical installations, thus reducing risk and improving overall system reliability. The NEC is developed and published by the Bureau of Indian Standards. It is officially known as IS SP 30. The NEC outlines essential provisions to ensure the safe operation of electrical systems. These include protective measures against electric shocks and fire hazards, guidelines for proper selections of cable, wiring and load distribution, overcurrent and overvoltage protection mechanism, standardized installation practices for residential and industrial buildings, use of circuit breakers, surge protection devices, and proper earthing techniques. So, by implementing these NEC guidelines, electrical installations can be made safer and more reliable. Now, let us discuss about the National Building Code. You might wonder, if BIS and NEC already exist, why do we need the National Building Code? You see, while BIS sets individual standards and NEC organizes them for electrical installations, NBC, or the National Building Code, it takes a broader approach. The NBC integrates all aspects of building safety, including electrical systems, fire protection, and structural safety. So the NBC is essential because most electrical wiring is done within buildings, and it's not enough to follow electrical standards alone. You must also ensure that the wiring aligns with the building safety codes, such as clearances for electrical panels, emergency lighting, and fire prevention measures. Therefore, the NBC provides a holistic framework for safe wiring in the context of overall building safety. It ensures that your electrical installations are not only safe and efficient, but also legally compliant within the building's design and safety requirements. By understanding NBC, you will be prepared to carry out wiring tasks that meet both electrical and construction standards, making you a more competent and responsible electrical professional. The NBC of India is also developed and published by the BIS. It brings together various IS codes related to building design, construction and safety, thus including those covering various electrical systems. A dedicated technical committee under BIS consisting of various experts in the field of architecture, civil engineering, electrical engineering and fire safety, they all collaborate to draft, review and update the NBC. So dear learner, it is now time for a self-check of what we have learned so far. So dear learners, in this lecture, we explored the Indian electricity rules and regulations that govern electrical safety and efficiency. We started with an overview of the Electricity Act of 2003, discussing its importance in regulating the power sector. We then examined the Central Electricity Authority regulations, followed by the Bureau of Indian Standards, which ensures product safety and compliance. Finally, we explored the National Electrical Code and the National Building Code, understanding how they contribute to the safe electrical installations in residential, commercial and industrial setups. With this, we conclude our session on Indian electricity rules and regulations. I hope that this lecture has provided you with a deeper understanding of the regulatory framework and the various rules that govern electricity in India. Thank you.